Hello, wizards in training. It's SilentSigns from I Dream of Indie, and today we are taking a look at Nobody Saves the World, a 2D action-adventure RPG where you are playing as, well, nobody. To be a little more specific, in the opening of this game, you wake up in a strange place without any memory or any pants for that matter, and you are left to your own devices to figure out what's going on. After doing a bit of wandering and communicating with the local townsfolk, you find yourself with a magic wand, and not to give away too much, but that wand can turn you into some pretty fantastic forms. Who are you? Where is the wizard this wand belongs to? And what is the calamity? These are all questions you'll be answering in Nobody Saves the World. One thing that's not a mystery, though, is how funny this game is. It is very well written. Maybe the humor won't be for everyone, but I did find myself laughing hysterically. No detail is left untouched, from the interactions with the other characters to the subtle references to games like Guacamelee in the background. Everything is very well thought out and cohesive, despite all of the chaos that's going on around you. As far as the actual gameplay goes, it's going to look very familiar if you've ever played another top-down dungeon crawler style game, but with the obvious twist of being able to transform into countless different creatures. There are over 15 different forms that you can unlock along your journey, and those forms can actually be modified with the abilities of the other forms that you've already unlocked for a really customizable gameplay experience. Do you want a rat that shoots arrows? You can do that. Perhaps a knight that gnaws through enemies like a rat? Yeah, you can do that too. Each of the Nobody's forms has distinct pros and cons, and mixing and matching those abilities is where a lot of the fun of this game comes from. In addition to your primary objectives in this game, you're also going to be assigned a number of side quests. Each individual form has its own set of quests, and then there are quests that you can pick up along the way. Completing these quests are going to be what helps you level up in this game and get stronger, and that also allows you to equip additional abilities. There are essentially 3 ways to enhance your character. You are always leveling up your nobody as a whole, which you'll see on the top left-hand corner of the screen as your numbered level. You are also leveling up each of your forms the more you use them, which you'll see as a letter grade, and that is how you start to unlock additional forms. Finally, you can also upgrade the abilities of each of these forms, so again, super customizable. I really liked how this game encourages you to use each of the forms, even if, say, an archer isn't your strong suit in a normal game or the type of character you would choose. You do find ways that you're going to need to use that character, and ultimately that's how you're going to unlock all of the forms, so it's great that it encourages you to branch out. So while it might not seem super fun to be playing as a horse at first that can only kind of donkey kick enemies, the more you level him up, the better he's going to get, and the further you're going to be able to transform. The promise of that next transformation is really what kept me on the edge of my seat here, and just for example, the excitement I felt unlocking the egg as a playable character, you have no idea. Combat in Nobody Saves the World is very straightforward, even for a button masher such as myself. You have certain enemies that have wards which can only be broken by certain types of attacks, but the ability to customize your characters and give them these different types of attacks for different buttons on your controller is super helpful for not having to always switch between characters, but you always have the option to transform even in the middle of combat. Another super helpful and well thought out feature of this game is the fact that every area and every dungeon have a distinct level at the bottom of the screen, so you're never going to be ambushed or surprised. You can absolutely try that level 99 dungeon when you're a level 15, but I can almost guarantee you're not going to make it through. Some of the larger dungeons are going to require a certain number of stars, which is another item you're going to be collecting in this game. Those stars can be purchased from a merchant merchant, but for the most part are earned by completing those quests or tasks that I mentioned before. This is a fairly deep game with a lot more that I could probably talk about, but I'll sum it up by saying it's a lot of fun. It might be deep, but it is very easy to understand, and the tutorials couldn't be any clearer. Factoring in the fact that dungeons are procedurally generated, you have the option for online co-op. No local co-op, unfortunately, but I can kind of see why it would be a little bit messy with all of these options and level ups going on the same screen at the same time. You have your primary character to level up, as well as all of these forms to customize. There are endless hours of playability here. The main story is probably going to take about 20 hours, but replayability is definitely there. There's a new game plus, and just playing through it with a friend, I could see this going on for far longer. Nobody Saves the World is definitely a visually striking game. It has 2D animations and such a vivid environment with lots of varied locations. It definitely has that DrinkBox charm to it that I imagine you were expecting, but it also has its own personality. It has a really great menu design, very clear and concise, but also has a certain kind of pizzazz to it. While it evokes some comparisons to Binding of Isaac, it doesn't have that gross factor that Binding of Isaac has, which, don't get me wrong, I love that game, but this one is not quite as grotesque. Another work of art is the soundtrack here. I was grooving the entire time I was playing. It doesn't matter how long I spent in a dungeon, I was loving every track here. There's some great kind of lo-fi beats and bass guitar, and then some really awesome synth tracks to kind of pump you up. Every one is a hit. There's no voice acting, but honestly, that's fine with me. I've said it before and I'll say it again. I would prefer no voice acting over bad voice acting, and the sound design in general as a whole just kind of gels really well here, so I don't think I need to ask for any more. Nobody Saves the World just about has it all. It has a banging soundtrack, a fantastic art style, endless customizability with the different forms and skills that you can collect, and if I had to level one complaint against it, I would say it's a little bit tedious to have to go in and claim each of your completed quests, but it does feel good to level up your character, and ultimately, it's a very small complaint in a very fantastic game, which is why I am awarding it a golden lamp of approval. I would say this one is a must-play if you're a fan of action RPGs. To me, it's not a nobody, it's a somebody. So will you be saving the world? Let me know in the comments down below. Before I go, I just want to thank our indie warriors, Bill T, Christian Cruz, Kevilo, Mitchell Hall, Chris Jackson, Nathan Moore, Adriana Amato, CJR, C Coil, Skeptism, Haley, Julian Colbus, Jen Rose, Jesse, CPM, Bunny, JRS8, Raylan, Marky Mint, Dave Harp, Peekaboo, and Lex Noyle. Thank you all so much for your support. Thank you for watching this video. If you haven't already, don't forget you can subscribe down below so you don't miss any reviews or previews, and check out the description box if you'd like to see how to become an indie warrior yourself. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time.